Rugby World Rankings, folks, after 5 rounds of the Rugby Championship 2025. How are things looking? What are the changes? And why am I wearing a Chilean rugby jersey? We'll go through the changes from the week that was, possible ramifications for the final round of the competition, and you guys can let us know your thoughts on how things are standing. The Boks are still there in first with that emphatic 67 points to 30 win over the Pumas. It may come as a surprise to some Bok fans to see you didn't move, you didn't gain any points from that big win. If there is any confusion, there's kind of 2 rules about the rankings to remember. Number 1 is you don't take points off anybody who you are 10 points higher than on the rankings. If your maths is any good, you'll notice that 91 and 84 is less than a 10-point gap. However, the other rule to remember is you get a home advantage score of kind of +3 on your rankings. So the Boks would have been scored at 94.62. The Pumas are on 84.40, which puts the Boks just beyond that 10-point range. So they couldn't take any points off the Pumas, even if they'd beaten them 200-0. It would not have mattered. No points on offer for the Boks. However, the next fixture at Twickenham is at a neutral venue, so the Boks will have some points on offer if they are to get a win. Ireland are still there in second, and the All Blacks did take, ever so marginal points off the Wallabies with their win at Eden Park, 0.17. So not a heck of a lot of gains, but hey, they have ever so slightly closed the gap on the Irish with that win. France, England, and Argentina round out that top 6, which, as always, we mention in recent times, is that top-seeded group for the next World Cup, which will be drawn at the end of the November tests and before the Six Nations next year. So come the end of November, you want to be in this top 6 if you want to be a seeded first team, a top-seeded team. Some people have asked the question, won't the Wallabies get an automatic top seeding because they are the hosts? The World Cup hasn't been, there's been a little bit of speculation about that, but in recent tournaments, that's not been the way. If you remember in France, at the last tournament, France were the hosts, but New Zealand were the top seed of their pool. They were in the same pool, and the one before that was Japan. Japan were likewise not a top seed. They were in there with Ireland and Scotland, who were the top 2 seeds of their pool. So Japan were like a 3rd seeded team. So no special treatment for the Wallabies that has been announced thus far. You would have thought if it was going to be the case, they would have announced it by now. Wallabies did lose some points as ahead to the All Blacks, which hasn't done their campaign for that top seeded spots any good. But 0.17 is not the end of the world for Joe's boys. And then the rest of that, 8th through 12th, which is the 2nd seeded teams, has no change as none of those teams were in action. However, you'll see I'm wearing a Chilean rugby jersey because Chile have gone up 3 spots in the world rankings. So they're on the whiteboard and they have qualified for the World Cup, taking points off Samoa. They beat Samoa 31-12. Remember, it was a 2-legged fixture. The opening leg was over in the United States, which was Samoa's home fixture, was a tie. Then the second fixture became a straight shootout over in Chile in front of 20,000 fans. And they were treated to a big old home win, 31-12. Obviously, Samoa were without a number of their big guns who were with their clubs. So Samoa have one last shot to make the World Cup in November when there is that repechage between like the remaining African team, which is Namibia, the remaining European team, which is Belgium, the remaining South American team, which is yet to be decided, but in all likelihood will be Brazil. They are playing off against Paraguay for a spot there, and then Samoa will be that Pacific side. So Samoa will need all their big guns to make the next Rugby World Cup. Everyone else on the board is Rugby World Cup qualified. There are some teams who are off the board who are also Rugby World Cup qualified, including like Uruguay, who are 19th, Portugal, who are 20th, Romania's there, Hong Kong's there, Canada's there, Zimbabwe's there. All these guys are qualified, yet they're all ranked below Samoa. So Samoa is the highest ranked side, not yet qualified for this next World Cup. We'll see if they go. They desperately need their their big guns back for that final one. You may be asking, why did like Tonga drop and why is USA on the rise? Those guys didn't play. It's just other teams moving points around, like Samoa dropping points, drop them below the USA's number, so the USA goes up, and Chile passing Tonga's points sees Tonga go down. Nothing kind of nefarious there. How could things work out with the final round of the Rugby Championship? Is number one in the world sure thing for the Boks? Not necessarily. If they were to lose at Twickenham and the All Blacks were to win at Perth, the All Blacks could take number one spot, but I don't think that's going to be the favoured predictions at the weekend, given how things went in the most recent round of the Rugby Championship. But this one has been a difficult Rugby Championship to predict. The Wallabies can take sixth back, because remember, it's been chopping and changing between them and the Pumas, if they are to get a win over in Perth, and assuming the Argentinians can't get the job done at Twickenham. A New Zealand win, though, in Perth could see them pass Ireland. So the All Blacks have still got second spot potentially available in their own hands. And South Africa, as I said, could drop number one if they were to lose and the All Blacks win. The Pumas can't quite catch England, but it would certainly do their consolidation of sixth spot plenty of good if they were to get a mighty upset win in that neutral venue of Twickenham. But yeah, there you go, folks. Those are your Rugby World Rankings. So not a heck of a lot of changes in those top Rugby Championship sides, but there has been a whole bunch of movement with that Rugby World Cup qualifying campaign. You guys let us know your thoughts. Would you like to see Samoa get the big guns available and qualify for another World Cup? Because they've been a mainstay of Rugby World Cup tournaments, but it is possible they don't qualify. Or would you like to see someone different make it? Namibia also have been a mainstay for a number of years, but could potentially miss out this time. How fair or not do you think the top teams are ranked? There's generally a bit of consensus that France are a little bit undervalued because they tour with a understrength team in the middle of the year. They tend to drop points, or like when they traveled to Japan a couple of years ago, they didn't gain any points. So in terms of pure world rankings, they don't get quite the reward, because the world rankings don't care if it's an A team or a B team that you're playing. They just care about the results. But anyway, subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already and you enjoy the World Rankings vids. Take care of yourselves, and I will talk to you guys again soon. See you later.